Hey friends, today I will explain to you a 2017 Japanese science fiction comedy film named Psychic Kusuo. The movie starts with Kusuo Seiki, a high school student with numerous superpowers such as teleportation, telekinesis, mind control, X-ray vision, and many additional, although born special with superpowers. Kusuo was born to biological parents who do not have any power and are normal people. Although born different, Kusuo's parents love him very much and always give the best for their son. Kusuo has dark pink hair with two antennae on his head that people think are hair ornaments. Still, they regulate his continual growing powers that would otherwise go out of control and destroy things and cause global catastrophes. Because of this, Kusuo always keeps his distance from other people and acts as cool as possible, and always attempts not to stand out and be the center of attention, despite having a very striking hair color and antennae on his head that make his appearance unique. One day, Kusuo's school is about to hold an annual cultural festival. Nonetheless, there are always problems during the festival, so the teachers ask the students not to make trouble and threaten to cancel the cultural festival if there are always problems. Kusuo actually had no intention of participating in the cultural festival this year, just like in previous years. Kusuo always went somewhere to relax rather than attending the cultural festival at his school. A bright red-haired student named Kineshi Hiro, Kusuo's class representative, is the most enthusiastic student in school and always cheers his friends up. But Kusuo always tries not to show his excitement because he doesn't want his friends to know that he has superpowers if he gets too excited. Kusuo's classmates agreed to hold a unique rock exhibition at this year's cultural festival, but Kusuo didn't care. In addition to Hiro, who is always excited and passionate, Kusuo has numerous unique classmates, namely two young men named Riki Nendo and Shun Kaido. Riki Nendo is a large muscular student with a mohawk hairstyle and a cleft chin. Nendo is the only person at Kusuo's school whose Kusuo can't rid his mind completely because he is dumb. Kusuo often fears his overly friendly and carefree nature as he cannot predict Nendo's actions. Meanwhile, Shun Kaido is Kusuo's classmate who always refers to himself as the Jet Black Wings and thinks he lives in a fantasy world ruled by a criminal conspiracy organization named Dark Reunion. Kaido thinks that Dark Reunion intends to take away the power of darkness that resides within him. But it was just a hallucination of him, who has grandiose delusions or so-called eighth grader syndrome. On the other hand, a girl named Kokomi Teruhashi looks like always trying to get close to Kusuo. Teruhashi is a self-proclaimed beautiful girl who is part of Kusuo's class. Teruhashi is always polite and modest in public because it can increase her attractiveness. But the truth is, she intimately likes the attention paid to her and all the help the men are willing to do for her. Because of that, Kusuo was never interested in Teruhashi because he could read her mind, which was the complete opposite of what she showed in public. Although Kusuo often ignores Teruhashi, she is even more obsessed with making him more meaningful or showing admiration, like saying a wow at her. Because Teruhashi is very popular, Kusuo tries to avoid her to not stand out and attract the attention of many people. When Teruhashi was about to take Kusuo around during the cultural festival, Kaido then told Teruhashi that he and Kusuo would fight Dark Reunion. Even though it's just Kaido's misconception, Kusuo can be saved a little from Teruhashi, who is obsessed with him. When the cultural festival started, Kusuo's classmates collected various unique rock shapes. Kaido shows a stone he believes is capable of sealing evil forces, even though it is just an ordinary stone. Teruhashi then showed the unique stone she was holding, which was a heart shape. The students in her class, apart from Kusuo, said in unison, "Oh wow," because of Teruhashi's very cute and sweet attitude when showing the stone. In Kusuo's class, a transfer student called Arankuboyasu is a young man with glasses who used to be a bad student. But he tries to put his past behind him by being calm and collected, yet has a short temper whenever he sees bullying. During the festival, Teruhashi tried to get close to Kusuo numerous times, but her efforts always failed. And this time it was because of the Coco memes, her fan club. Although Kusuo finally felt a little relieved after avoiding Teruhashi, he couldn't calm down after realizing the oddity of a group of magicians taking part in a cultural festival at his school. Kusuo then uses his powers and discovers that the illusion magic was about to perform can be life-threatening. Thus, Kusuo used his power to eradicate the danger until the illusion magic show went on without the slightest problem. Meanwhile, Kaido seems to have been accosted by one of the Dark Reunion emissaries and taken to their hideout, and it looks like a big fight is about to take place. On the other hand, Hiro even held a marathon running competition, even though the competition was not a cultural festival. Nonetheless, there were quite a lot of participants in the marathon because the prize was to see Teruhashi's face up close for 10 minutes. Feeling that something was wrong in the marathon, Kusuo then quietly followed them from behind to keep watch. Since the prize for the marathon was being close to Teruhashi for 10 minutes, Hiro was even additionally excited to win the race, and so was Nendo. Elsewhere, Kuboyasu gets a challenge letter from his old enemies who challenge him to a duel behind the school. Meanwhile, Kaido is still trapped with Dark Reunion, which reveals the tremendous power of the 7 sacred orbs scattered in the school. It is not clear whether Dark Reunion is just Kaido's hallucination or is it a reality. But Kaido looks like ambitious to find the 7 holy orbs to defeat Dark Reunion. On the other hand, Hiro and Nendo are competing to win the marathon, and with Kusuo's help, Hiro finally could win the match. Nonetheless, Teruhashi actually hoped that Kusuo would be the winner and took a close look at her beauty so that he would be fascinated and fall in love with her. When Kuboyasu was about to meet his old enemies who challenged him to a duel behind the school, Kaido suddenly came with various orbs, which he claimed were super-powered exalted orbs that Dark Reunion was targeting. Meanwhile, Teruhashi, who is still obsessed with Kusuo, makes a plan by pretending to be a timid girl and hoping that he will protect her, and is stunned by her beauty. However, Kusuo always shows a straight expression, so Teruhashi intends to take him into the haunted house so that she is actually scared, and he will be mesmerized by her beauty. But it turns out Nendo wants to enter the haunted house and instead messes up Teruhashi's plans because he scares the ghosts there until they faint and run away. After leaving the haunted house, Kusuo rushed to the toilet to wash his face. But suddenly, Nendo seemed behind him and wore Kusuo's glasses, which were placed on the side of the sink. Nendo instantly turned to stone because of the superpower that Kusuo had in his eyes, which could turn anyone he saw into stone. Kusuo can restore Nendo's condition to its original state by turning back time to the previous day. Nonetheless, it will be bad if done now. Therefore, Kusuo decided to wait until the end of the day and would return the situation to normal the next day. Because it is quite tough to control his power, Kusuo then brings people who turn to stone to a unique stone exhibition in his class. Kusuo then decided to hide in the gym equipment warehouse to avoid more people turning to stone. But apparently, he actually met with Teruhashi, who was hiding there. Luckily, Kusuo didn't turn Teruhashi into stone, even though she was annoyed for always attempting to get close to him. Knowing that Kuboyasu was fighting with bad students from other schools, Kusuo then borrowed Kuboyasu's glasses and promised not to report to anyone if he got into a fight. Kusuo then changed the glasses to be like his own so that no one else was turned to stone by staring directly at him. After that, Kusuo came out of hiding and rushed back to class. However, Teruhashi still tried to approach Kusuo and asked him to be alone with her. But again, Teruhashi's fans came in the way, so she grabbed Kusuo's arm and took him to the gym equipment warehouse, where someone welded the lock on the barn door, trapping Kusuo and Teruhashi there. On the other hand, Kaido has managed to collect 7 sacred Dragon Balls, which are claimed to defeat Dark Reunion. Back to Kusuo and Teruhashi, who were trapped in the sports equipment warehouse, which turned out to be something she had planned so that she could be alone with him. Teruhashi had no idea that her plan was going so smoothly. But of course, Kusuo could know that because he could read her mind. Even though he could effortlessly get out of there if he used his powers, he couldn't do it because he didn't want her to know about his superpowers. Meanwhile, outside, a gang of thugs came to the school to challenge Kobayashi to a duel. Kusuo, who knew this, then used his teleportation power to get rid of the thugs from his school, which was only seen as an illusion magic show by his friends who saw the thugs unexpectedly disappear. But the incident then made Kusuo unconscious because it was too draining. Seeing Kusuo fainting, Teruhashi instead removed one of his antennas, which then disrupted the signal on the satellite, and the authorities thought there was a nuclear attack or the apocalypse would come. Not long after, Kusuo eventually came to his senses, and because one of his antennae was removed by Teruhashi, he had a hard time controlling his power, which made her very surprised. Kusuo asked Teruhashi to return the antenna, but because she accidentally lost his antenna, she rather offered to replace it with a lollipop. Unable to control his strength, Kusuo accidentally made the situation in the room become freezing cold, which ultimately made Teruhashi faint because she couldn't hold the cold air. Since Teruhashi is unconscious, Kusuo then uses his powers to regain his antennae, and with his strength, he returns to normality by turning time back to the previous day, where all the chaos had not yet initiated, and the end. If you are a lover of similar content like this, take a look at my various videos, and if you love it, please burst the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel and smash the notification horn. Take sight of you in the next video.